Look at my little spiky hair day. It's in a clip. 5:14, almost 5:15. I have a little bit better color today. Ha ha. It's raining and I'm a little bit woozier today because of the freaking rain, but overall I feel better. I slept a lot and I've been busy the last couple hours trying to find somebody to fix brakes for my husband's vehicle that he bought. Yeah, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know how I got the mechanic in work, but I'm not a mechanic, but somehow I got the mechanic in work and had to do mechanic calls all day, so that was a great one. So I see 5 people. Say howdy, people. I don't know you're here until you talk to me. There we go. Blue Willow. Is that another Elizabeth? Are you another Elizabeth? Isn't that like one of those names that when you're in kindergarten you wish your mother had named you Sue? You have to learn how to spell it. It's like, gee, Mom. Hey, I was on the phone with mechanics when you called me earlier because I've been trying to find somebody to do brake work. Brake work. Hey, Liplock, how you doing? Honey, you're not obligated to be here. I adore you, but you're not obligated to be here. I appreciate you when you are here, but you do what you gotta do. I'm just glad you checked in. Did anybody watch Dr. Phil? I hate mechanic calls because then they all like, you know, they all try to pull their man crap with me, and I'm like, man crap, don't. And then I get really aggressive because I don't like man crap. So then it gets, whoo, cooking supper. I'm moving in with you. My husband actually brought home dinner so I would not have to cook tonight because the rain coming through. He was like, I don't want you up, because the last time the rain came through, it made my vertigo worse. But today I'm holding and doing well. His stupid brakes locked up. We had to put a new switch in the steering column for the brake lights, and it's just a little tinker toy that he bought. Everybody's husband has one of those, I'm sure. And he was doing something with the brakes, and they freaking locked up on him. And so, yeah, my Jeep drove to his job this evening. I miss my Jeep because I love my Jeep. But he's in my Jeep this evening. Of course, it's not like I'm allowed to drive right now anyway with the vertigo. So, okay. So everybody saw my community post and was concerned. So somewhere on my page today, on one of my videos, I think it was on yesterday's live where I looked horrible. Somebody said that they thought Hawkins County or another rural county had actually employed Dawn as a deputy at some point. To which my response was, "Holy crap!" Okay, because there's a lot of regulations to be employed as a deputy per the state of Tennessee. So I just went and made a community post and put up the regulations. Now that doesn't mean that good old boy land doesn't often not go by the regulations, or they may put them in a special deputy mode where they don't exactly have to volunteer all the information to the state, and they can kind of fudge and hire them and not have to pay them and kind of doing stuff like that. But it's, I mean, for him to be legally employed, no, he's got too many felonies behind him. But I just wanted to address that and put up the rules for employment. Now, I have questions about that as well, because you can go back and expunge your record and then get employed, which I have an issue with. I mean, I've seen many of people turn their life around and do great and wonderful things. It doesn't mean they need to be law enforcement. Where did you find this out at? Somebody posted it on one of my videos. They said that, did you know that there's a rumor going around that Dawn was actually employed at some point by Hawkins County or another rural area sheriff department? And I was like, holy crap, no. And just to clarify, I just put up the Tennessee requirements, and that's just what I could screenshot. It goes much more into depth if you want to go to tn.gov and look it up. But there's really no way that he could be employed as an officer. There's no way that man could get a badge, because he would have to expunge his entire record, and that's multiple states, and it would never happen. Now, could somebody like slap a special deputy on him for a couple of days to help something, yeah. Would it be right? No. Could somebody do it? Yeah. They'd probably get in a lot of trouble if they got found out. But I highly doubt that that has ever been done. And so I just wanted to put that out there and make sure everybody knew there's a 99.9 chance he has never been gainfully employed with any kind of badge or any kind of law enforcement work because of his background. Deputy Don. Be like Barney Fife in one bullet. That would be hilarious. Did anybody catch the Dr. Phil episode? Pill and stick badge. That was a good one. I'm sorry. That caught me off guard. I needed to laugh for a while. That caught me off guard. That one caught me off guard. The Dr. Phil episode today, it basically went through the behavior panel, and I'm here to tell you, Scott Rouse is a country boy. He's an Oak Ridge boy. He's just right over the holler. I adore Scott Rouse. He's very smart. He's very articulate, very educated, very kind. I've spoken with him a few times via the internet, via how to set up my own kind of learning scenario based on the same kind of scenario he set up to do his educational programs. He's a really great guy. That being said, when they all get together, I feel like they all miss things. It's like they all like hold back and think the other is supposed to catch it, and then they miss things. And so I'm watching stuff and I'm like, we're discussing stuff that I saw back months ago when I put my first video out on the couple. And maybe it's because of my intensive time in the field with people like that, because they live very similar to the people that I supervised. But sometimes I think they just overlook stuff, and I'm like, you know, I'll watch them and I'm like, you're just not getting to that? Come on, boys. Fall in line. But today was just mostly the behavior panel going through the questioning and how they were either trying to manipulate, deflect, or completely just get away from the questions altogether. And they did point out some stuff on Candace that I have often pointed out, that she shows no emotion. The only time I've ever seen her cry was when she said her boys woke up and didn't know where their sister was, and that made her unhappy. But she was she took McDonough through the whole playback of everything and never showed an emotion. She could go through everything in her brain, never show an emotion. But then she gets pressed for questions and she turns into a blab, and I'm like, honey, don't do that crap. They may not be divulging everything to the public. They may be scratching the surface and holding back and trying to share some of the more in-depth stuff with the agencies that are investigating. I would hate if they were doing that, because it makes them look stupid. To people like me, it makes them look stupid. But that may be what's going on. What are we not sorrying about? Are we being stinkers in the chat? Do I need to give a Farfignugan fart award to somebody this evening already? Everybody be nice. But I was kind of looking forward to getting into more of the meat of the story, but apparently that's going to happen tomorrow. Which maybe I'll feel better tomorrow, so maybe I'll make more notes tomorrow. You got the pill and stick badge. That's awesome. That's the best thing I've heard all day. I'm not gonna lie, that was great. I mean, that just should deserve a prize. I'm in the process of cleaning, as long as you're having fun. I'm in the process of cleaning my craft room, because my craft room used to be where I used to do videos from. But it's just gotten out of hand because of my husband and his fur crafts and fur sales and everything. So I am in the process of cleaning my craft room so I can get back to doing my lives and stuff from there. So I can actually do things while I'm on lives with you all, rather than just stare at you and talk. I can actually accomplish something while I'm in there. And do some. I've got a couple of crafts and stuff I need to get done, and I've got a couple of things to show you that are going to be going up in the Etsy store, which I have got everything transitioned over to David's name. All that's done. I've just got to take pictures and load, and as soon as I can stare through a camera without getting wobbly to take the photos, I will load the store. So as soon as I load the store, I will do a community post with the link to let you all know I've loaded the store. Some of you may not like the things that I make, and that's okay. Not everybody will like it. Not everybody will understand. And some of you will. And that's just, it's just pouring here. The end of the rain's coming through. But I just like to share with you all, when we're getting around to doing this. My son can armpit fart a better show. They're lying liars from Liarville. Yeah, I was, it was just kind of deadpan. It was just kind of, we wanted new information. We wanted new insight. We got nothing. We got nothing, but what we knew would happen would be that Dawn would take the lead and be the caregiver, pat on the back, I'm going to handle this, and Candace would be the one that sat there with the stupid expressions and then split as soon as she got upset. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but that's just the role they've played. Candace only puts herself out there when she knows she's in control of her emotions, which tells me something's going on there, because if you have nothing to hide, then you don't care to put yourself in any scenario. But if you're only putting yourself into controlled scenarios, there's a reason for that, because you don't want to lose control. Why don't you want to lose control? Makes you wonder. But yeah, it was just the same old thing. It was the same old song and dance, and I was like, this was nothing. This was nothing new. This was nothing that's going to and then, he wanted to fuss about how social media has ruined him. Well, shut your daggum phone off, Dawn, and shut up. It's like, we can't ruin you if you would stop reaching out. If you would stop reaching out, you wouldn't know what we thought. Well, you didn't miss anything on the Dr. Phil show today. Tomorrow should be the meet where they get Candace and Dawn to talk to Dr. Phil, because at this point, they still have not come face-to-face with Dr. Phil. So you didn't miss anything but a recap and the behavior panel. Two of the guys, Scott Rouse and the other bald-headed dude, were there. And it was just a repeat of what we know. And I found it amazing that Candace would not let them in the house until she had time to clean the bottom of the house. And then they showed, and I guess they had cleaned and painted. But it was still just toys and a mattress on the floor and paint. And if I were somebody that was trying to get my children back, I would have bought beds, I would have painted, I would have decorated. I mean, you put some effort there, but it's like she's not done anything to prepare for the possibility that she's going to even try to get those boys back. I mean, that just struck me as, okay, nothing has changed. Where's the energy going? Where is, because there's got to be energy, even if it's anxiety and energy, it's got to be funneled somewhere. Where is she funneling it? What is she doing? So, yeah, they just painted some, they put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. I wanted to see more effort. I didn't enjoy it. I got nothing from the entire show. I hope Dr. Phil is much more constructive with them and less touchy-feely. The donated money, from what I am understanding, is going to the Civis Bank, which is holding a reward for information leading to her being found. And that's about all I know about that. I think if you have questions about that, you probably need to talk to Scott H. or, what are their names? See, I don't know many people in this community because I'm me. And even though I'm new and people seem to like me, nobody attacks me, possibly because I'm me. Everybody leaves me alone. But Scott H. should know the answer to that question. And is it Q Carlock. There you go. Q Carlock. So I guess they're Q is the main person that handled it, and she showed all the receipts where every penny is accounted for that was donated. So I thought that was very nice, and on the up and up. I appreciated that very much, because I would want to know that every penny followed through and went where it was supposed to go. So I appreciate that from her. I thought that was very nice. I've listened to Scott H&Q a couple times. I like Scott. And somebody asked, Sharon asked, why the difference between Scott's accent and my accent. Scott is a Valley Boy Appalachian. He's a Valley Boy Tennessean. Got more of a slow Southern, almost Alabama, Georgia drawl. I am a Mountain Appalachian. So I actually speak the very last of the Scots-Irish slang that is dying. It's a dying language, and so I've actually been recorded for people to hear my accent and some of the way that we speak and sing. So if Sharon catches that, that's your explanation, and that's why I talk so fast and he talks so slow. I really like Scott H. Q Carl, I've only listened to it a couple times, but she seems straight up. I mean, she just no nonsense, straight up. I don't know anything about Cher. Is it Cher? I don't know a lot about most of these people, so I try, if they do good things, I try to say they did a good thing. So I noticed that she made sure every penny was accounted for and showed receipts, and I thought that was great. So I really enjoyed listening to them the last couple of days. I've enjoyed listening to Lip Locked No More sing the last couple of days too. I used to sing every Sunday on the radio, and I haven't done that in a long time. And I miss singing. I used to sing with my mama. And maybe at some point when I feel better, if I can get back down the mountain, I will sing an old hymn with my mama and record it and post it on here for you all to hear. Are you from Raleigh? Yeah, it's amazing how the dialects change very quickly within the little Appalachia communities. And I was made fun of. I've slowed mine down and stopped a lot of it, but when I get mad or I'm trying to make a point, I get really twangy. And that's fine. I don't mind it, because normally whatever I'm going to say needs to be said in that way. But when my mother was in college, and she didn't graduate college until she was 36, she went later in life because she had children. And so I would go with my mother to lecture studies and classes, and I learned how to behave at a very young age, because you don't speak in lecture classes, but I love to absorb the knowledge. It was either go with mom to a lecture class or go to dad to the barns, and so I would split my time because I loved them equally. And when we would speak or we would sing, people would ask to tape us, record us. And my mother was from Indiana originally, but her father was an engineer on the railroad, so she would stay in one place just long enough to lose the accent and move and get made fun of. Move, and then she stayed in Tennessee when she got married, and she sounds just like she's always been from Tennessee. So, but I have when I get really sassy, I have it's one of the last few like true Scots-Irish dialects that are we still use some of the weird words. You know, it's not nothing for somebody to come up and say, who had a new baby bairn? Has anybody seen the baby bairn yet? And I'm like, no, I didn't know who had one, boy or girl. And we don't even, we just don't even notice that it's a different language anymore. So the first time I watched Outlander, I watched it with friends, and they were like, what did they just say? And I was like, they said, and I turned into the interpreter. Hello, true crime with Libby. Hello. Virginia, yeah, Virginia, and you know this, Priscilla, Virginia has an even deeper dialect. You've been here long enough, we have roads named after us. We have really odd roads like Possum Holler, Buzzard Roost, and Squirrel Flats, and it's just weird, Yeah, yuns or y'all. My cousin's from New Mexico. My uncle was in the Air Force, and his boys were raised out west, and they flew in to visit one time, and my mother picked them up at the airport, brought them home. As soon as they walked in the door, I could tell they were tired, and they said, howdy, did y'all eat yet? Because if you ain't, you want something, I'll cook something. You hungry? And they were like, what? I said, howdy, did y'all eat yet? Because if you haven't and you're hungry, I will fix you something. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're hungry. And I was like, okay. Anybody have to make chocolate gravy and biscuits every Sunday? That's a staple around here. As soon as the weather cools down and the wolves, if everybody knows what I'm talking about, the wolves get out of the squirrels, and we will be having squirrel dumplings. Everybody knows what that means. My husband does not hunt a lot until about Christmas, until after Thanksgiving or around Christmas. He only hunts for deer the late part of the season because he begins trapping so early. So the last 2 weeks he has been scouting his trapping routes because he's going to begin trapping very, very soon, right around Thanksgiving. So back to the trapping, where I have to wonder where he is every second of the day. I have a personal locator beacon for him, but you know, the man has to take it with him and turn it on. Do you know how hard that is to explain to a man that grew up in the log woods? It's almost impossible. I love squirrel dumplings. I made it one night before I had a college night class, and my husband and I had just got married. He had just adopted my kids, and it's okay, Blue Willow. You do what you need to do. Spend time with your family if you need to. But I made a big old pot of squirrel dumplings before I left that evening, and we went down the mountain to school. When I came back, there was this little pile of bones on the kitchen table, and I walked in and I thought, that little squirrel never had a chance. Must have been good, because he ate it every bit. My husband will still eat groundhog. He loves groundhog. Yep. I've ate a lot of things. I love... What's that about, Oscar? Is somebody here? Or are you just throwing a fit? I think he's just throwing a fit. That would be Oscar throwing a fit, unless Lane's here. Is Lane home? Did you hear Bug? I think you're senile. Are you senile? My dog's crazy. Squirrel taste, honestly, it just tastes like dark meat chicken. That was hard to get out. Okay, so there's even more money coming in for the Summerwell stuff. Well, that's good. I mean, the more, the more that's there, the better things will be, so. Fried quail, I know, but then, like you go out and you hunt, I used to bird hunt a lot. You get your quail, and by the time you skin them, you're like, it's a bat. It's a libbity bat. And it's like, ah. But they are good. They have a really good taste. So as David starts trapping, I will start sharing more of the pictures he sends back of the places he traps, and he makes videos and stuff. And some of it I will share to his fur page or his trapping page, and if you want to go watch it, you can. And if it's more G-rated that everybody will not throw a hissy fit about, I'll put it on here and share it. I have never had possum, but my in-laws will still eat possum and sweet taters, and they swear that it tastes very much like groundhog, and basically like if you've ever had a split roasted piglet, they swear it's all very similar. So I don't know. I like snapping turtles, the common snapping turtles. You can't eat the alligator snapping turtles; they're protected. But we used to go in turtlefish ponds where the turtles were getting in and eating all the fish, and the farmers were calling and say, "Can you come turtle fish and get them out?" Sure. Some of them were huge. I love to turtle fish because they come out ready to fight. It's fun. And he's a good man. He's a good, solid man. And so we would eat snapping turtle, and it's got 7 different kinds of meat on its body, and so it's yummy. It's great. We would boil it, and then I'd bread it, and I would fry it, and it's great. And if you live around here, you're not going to go hungry. There was a black possum on my porch the other night. It was I'd never seen as black a possum as this one, and apparently I've been feeding it for a while. And I looked at it and I was like, as long as you're eating the bugs and stuff in the yard, you're not going to be mean, but you hiss at me one more time and we're going to have words. And he just kind of looked at me like, okay. So, oh yeah, turtle is a really yummy meat. People that don't know, yeah, they don't know what they're missing. Turtles are really yummy meat. I don't know why some people are like, ew, but it's really good meat. Oh yeah, snapping turtles are hateful. You have to be super careful. And the thing that I don't like about snapping turtles, like I've worked in taxidermy shops and I've butchered my own meat, and I grew up on a farm, and if you hang it up, I can take it apart. I have no problem putting, getting elbow deep in whatever I need to take apart to put on the dinner table. Got no problem with it. But I draw the line at snapping turtles. Because to get them out of the shell, first you have to chop their head off, because they will bite you all day long. So you have to chop their head off. This is going to get graphic, so if you got a queasy stomach, you probably don't need to be here for a minute. But that neck will still lunge at you while you're trying to get everything else ready and the legs are moving. And I'm just sorry, once I've decapitated you, I think you should be still. And I look at my husband and I'm like, that's where I draw the line. I just don't like this. This is not my favorite thing. But then you have to pour boiling water over the shell to separate the skin from the shell so you can get the shell off so you don't ruin the meat. And I mean, it's a process that you have to be hungry and want that meal if you're going to make turtle, because you have to want to get into that thing. It is a job. But it's really good. It's really good for you. The meat is really good for you. Oh, really? You found eggs? Y'all are just talking up a storm. Well, I come from the sticks where, when I was in 3rd grade and my brother was in 4th grade, we would come home and I would get the 22 and he'd get the 12 gauge, and we'd walk back behind the suburbs. We lived on the edge of the suburbs where we still have a barn, a little bit of farm. We would go back to where the log woods were, where they were logging, and we would bring home 10 or 12 squirrel. We'd tag out whatever we could that day. Squirrel, bring them home, clean them, and fry them up and eat them. And so my mom would come home, because she was always in college. She would come home at 7 o'clock, and we'd have 6 or 7 little squirrels on a spit in the backyard. And she'd be like, well, I don't guess I need to make dinner. And we're like, no, we're good. But when I was in 3rd grade, I would walk probably 1/3 of a mile, well, maybe even half mile up the road, sat on my pony that stayed in the neighboring farmer's barn, sat on my pony, ride my pony back home, keep her home all day, work with her, do stuff with her, and ride her, keep her, and then at dusk I would ride her back up, cool her down, feed her, put her back up, and walk back home. And I was in 3rd grade. I was in 3rd grade. I mean, how many other kids in 3rd grade could do that right now? Not many. Not many. So, I don't know. Maybe I just had a weird childhood. I don't know. I had parents that allowed me to be a kid and allowed me to explore. But there were definite no-nos. There were definite barriers. So, but from 13 to 16, I cut the base trails for a major trail riding facility, and I was out all day on my horse from sun up to sundown, and I would be 7 or 8 miles from anywhere, cutting trails, marking trails to be cut for this big facility. Yeah, I wanted my pony closer, but because my dad was a blacksmith, he would use the stalls at the barn to keep people that shipped their horses to him to shoe, so the stalls stay busy. So I would have to walk up to the neighboring farmer's barn and get my pony and bring her home, ride her, and deal with her, and then I'd have to take her back. Because my dad kept the barn. He kept the barn stalls from money makers. So this is fascinating. I'm in Canada. I've had moose. I've had bear too. Bear's greasy. I don't care for bear. I like elk. Elk is my favorite meat. I would say if you make me an elk burger, I will be your best friend for life, because it's amazing. Elk is just amazing. and they're starting to be prominent over here again. Like when I drove through 4 counties one time to work, and I was on the edge of the hill going down the edge of the hill, and it jumped over coming up the hill and hit the pavement, and you would have thought it was on a skating rink the way I had to slow down so I could get across the road. It was the most cumbersome, not majestic looking thing at all, but I still thought it was beautiful. But there's enough of them now. We have to watch out when we're traveling because they're starting to get their numbers back up. Oh yeah, when I was little, oh gosh. God, I started working chicken houses before I was in kindergarten. Broiler houses that had 21,000 plus in them. I started taking care of beef cattle and draft mules and Belgians before I was in kindergarten. My grandpa had a farm and he raised draft crosses and Belgians and Shire and Percheron. And so I could by the time I went to kindergarten, I could harness up a 2 to 6 horse team, and I could fix the hydraulics on a tractor, and I could fix the water lines in a chicken house, and I could fix the feed hopper in a chicken house. And my dad, as little as I was, would leave me there when they would come to catch the chickens and take them out, because I knew how to empty everything, empty the house down, and I could even run the bobcat to start scraping up the manure to clean out, because we had to take it down to the ground, sanitize, and get ready for the next batch. And so I was, jack of all trade. When I was in college, I was head stable boy at Mardana Paso Fino Farms. They had worked all boys, and they didn't want to hire me, and I said, hire me and work me with every boy you work, and if I don't outwork every boy you work me with, you don't have to pay me. And I worked for 2 weeks, and they made me the head stable boy, because I was the only one who could fix the manure spreader and drive the front end loader, which were 2 pretty simple things, you would think. Apparently not. Elk is excellent. Elk is great. Elk is lovely. We used to, like, because my family was a big time hunting family, so we had a lot of people that would pass through, and so we would all like do a meat swap. Whoever hunted wherever, we'd all do a meat swap. So I've eaten a little bit of everything. Jerky. I love any kind of jerky. If you give me a bag of jerky, it's gonna disappear. I love jerky. Yeah, I grew up. I grew up in like walking horse, saddle horse barns. But I always liked to ride stock, so I always had quarter horses myself. But I always ended up working in Paso Fino barns because they were getting really popular at that time. But I've also ridden dressage. I've also ridden hunter jumper and illusions. So I did. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of work in my younger days. I can't accomplish any of that now. Yeah, I had it was rough. I had a rough childhood some days. I had a blonde standard bred mare named Softy that was Amish trained, and to get the taters up one day because the tractor was gone. I don't know who had it, and we didn't have an attachment for the tiller. I had to get the bull tongue, which was the only plow left on the property. I don't know where the other one was. Absolute wrong plow, but it's the only one I had to turn up the taters. And so you don't want to half or crush or tear your taters. And I had a blind mare, which you have to talk to her because she thinks she's going straight, but she's blind. So you gee and haw all the time when you're talking to her. And I had to turn those, it was my job, I had to turn up all the taters and get them up with that blind mare and that bull tongue plow. And I was maybe 12, 13, and that bull tongue plow was huge and difficult, much more difficult than the others to work. And I didn't ruin many taters though. That was definitely one of the harder evenings, and I was very mad, and I was very loud about whoever took the tractor when the taters had to come in. Needed to make sure they brought it back because we put out way too many taters for me to do that more than once in a lifetime. I wouldn't mind to go out and dig a row here and there, but when you have to turn them all up and get them all up and put them all in the tater bin, and you've got a lot. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. And that poor blonde mare, she was like, how many rows are we going to do, kid? And I was like, I'm sorry, Softy, just keep going. So she was the sweetest mare. So yeah, I grew up kind of weird, I guess. My grandma would try to bring me in the house and teach me how to cook, and I wish I paid more attention now. But I can run a farm probably just as efficient as a man, but I can cook only if I'm hungry. So, when I was 8, 9, I would help Grandpa castrate the hogs. And my job was to then take the bucket of the mountain oysters to Grandma before they got cold, because she wanted to clean them and slice them and fry them before they got cold, because that was how you kept them tender to eat. I grew up in a weird, and yeah, I guess in a weird way. But I don't know, made me who I was, so I can't complain too much. I think people nowadays that they're seeing the world kind of falter a little bit, they look at people that come from my area and they go, oh, you're not as stupid as we thought you were. You have knowledge. We just did not appreciate it because at the time it was not something we needed to appreciate. And now I think they have learned to appreciate it. So it's like, it works. It's a really good way of life, and it's simple. And all these people talking about carbon footprints, and I'm like, I have a non-existent carbon footprint compared to most people. Like, I've not been more than, I went to the hospital the other day. I've not been more than 40 miles from my house in 2.5 years. And that was just for the hospital trip. I tell you what I hated the most when I was a kid was planting. We would have to ride the tobacco planter, which was an old mechanical machine that had a water tank behind you, 2 seats, and it had a wheel that came up and it would grab the plant that you would have to place in the little mechanical fingers that came up to grab. You would have to put the plant in it, and it would take it down and sink it to the ground and come up and grab another one. And it took 2 of us, and we would feed every other one. Me and my brother rode that machine, and we would plant acres and acres and acres of tobacco. Well, every once in a while, you would miss putting the tobacco plant in, and it would catch your finger, and you'd have to yell, "Grandpa," real quick, so he would stop. He would stop the tractor, or you were going to lose your hand and your arm. Yeah, it was old tobacco setter, and Grandpa he had really good hearing, because there's a couple times my arm got way on down there, and I was like, whew. But then it would be hot summer day, and he would fill that water tank so full that when he'd pick us up and turn us around, it would slosh, and we would be so sunburnt, and that wet water would hit our backs, and you could just hear it sizzle because we were so sunburnt. It was horrible. But we got to go fishing afterwards, so it was fun. But then, a little bit later to go out, and you have to top it. And then a little while later, you have to go out and chop it. And then where I was, believe it or not, nothing but knees and elbows when I was little, I always was the one that had to climb and hang the tobacco. Because apparently I was, I don't know, part monkey or something, because I could just skedaddle right up the wall and hang everything, and it was nothing for me to hang there for 5 or 10 minutes waiting for the next stick full of them. And so I grew up doing a lot of things. I grew up, when I was in high school, I would have to go and take care of 2 chicken houses and feed the mules and the cattle. And then I would take a shower and go to school. And I would sit in the corn crib, and reason I had really good hand strength, I would have to, every mule got 6 ears of corn, and I'd have to dry corn and shell the corn off the cob so they could eat it. And they knew I was fixing to feed them because they were in their stalls below me, and I was sitting in that corn crib. I would jump into it like a ball pit. I was sitting there, and I'd have my bucket, and I would shell corn, and I would sing while I'd shell corn and keep time. And I bet you I was the only country girl that was singing Queen songs while she was shelling corn to feed her mules. So, I guess I was a little bit different. They did a mix. It depended on where your tobacco, where your crap. Where your tobacco base was, where it was located. And of course, some families got a percentage paid from the state for what they produced and stuff like that. And so it depended on if you were planting your own or you were planting for the state, and where your tobacco base was located was what you planted there. Now, we normally would just take leftovers and plant, because it was my grandpa's like personal tobacco. It wasn't anything that we had contacted with the state. And so he privately grew and sold his own. So it wasn't anything, because most people, how most people around here are contracted, their tobacco base is contracted through the state. And if they lease it out, they still get money off of it. We didn't have that. We grew all our own, and we were not through the state. We were all private. So I'm here to tell you, you want to meet a stinging caterpillar, you just go down the tobacco field aisles. You'll meet one in about 5 minutes, and they'll get you. They'll get you good, too. And you aren't allowed to fuss about it. And oddly enough, do you know what the remedy for a stinging caterpillar or a wasp sting is? You grab the tobacco, chew it, and slap it on your arm. I probably chewed more tobacco before I was in kindergarten than most kids ever thought about. Do you know that in Smith County, when I lived in Smith County for a little while, on the edge of Wilson County, they were starting, this boggled my mind, they were starting to pay people for their tobacco base land, but they wouldn't plant it. And I was like, why aren't they planting? Why, they're paying you for it. It's right on the river. It's great. Why aren't you? They were buying up the best soil and the best crops that were coming in of last decade. They would buy up those bases and pay the people not to sow them and not to grow there, so that they could jack the price of the crappy tobacco up. And I just thought that was horrible. And you would see little old men, you knew they had been forced into it, because their tobacco plots, that was their pride and joy. And they would be sitting there and they'd be like, I still got my money, but they'd be like, what's the world coming to? He's like, I remember sitting at the vet's office across from the mill. It's at the one little tiny light before the big bridge in Carthage, Tennessee. And I was talking to this old timer, and he said, for 3 years I've had to look at my fields barren. And he said, I'm still making the same money. He said, but it's not like I get to see if I'm doing any good, if I've learned anything, if my crop's going to get any better, if I can improve anything. He said, they're killing us. He said, because they'd rather have a mediocre plant and keep prices that they can control, rather than let farmers do their thing and have great tobacco, and have to pay a little bit more money for it. And that's when I learned at a very young age that the government, most everything the government sticks their finger into, kind of spreads a little bit of venom. Yeah. Well, now, unless you have heirloom seeds, your seeds, you cannot take seeds off of the vegetables you raise. You have to have heirloom seeds, so that the vegetables you raise will have seeds that can raise, because these seeds that are made by the government, they may make a vegetable, but you can't use them to raise anything else. They're useless. And I grew up where you take seeds off everything. You take seeds off your sunflowers, your hollyhocks, your flowers, and then you go down the garden and you keep seed taters, and they're making it to where you can't do that anymore, so that they're in control of all the seeds. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that unless you get heirloom quality seeds, which cost a lot, that the seeds you get, they're not heirloom quality, and you plant them, you're going to get vegetables, but you can't keep seeds seeds from those vegetables and grow anything else, it's a dud. You need the heirloom quality because they've not been augmented. They're useless. Useless as tits on a boar hog. That's my favorite saying. So a lot of people don't know that. So if you ever put away seeds, make sure you put away heirloom seeds. Now you know. Tip of the day. I put a wrinkle in your brain. And if you ever get seed taters, if you ever buy taters, go to the oldest farmer, the oldest man, the wrinkledest man, the man that looks like he smoked the most Marlboros in his whole day, the man whose overalls look like they are cakes to him, and buy his taters for seed taters, because those taters will always grow, no matter what. So, yep, same with flowers. They're starting to do it with all seeds. That's why I've still got my heirloom. I've got heirloom hollyhocks. I've got heirloom hibiscus. And these are like from my mother's flowers. And we've kept them going. And so, and we take seeds up every year. And we just kind of shuffle them between everybody. And I've got so many flowers that I let people come and freely dig. Because I had so many irises and daylilies and hibiscus, and I had just so much. I have Yellow Rose of Texas that was bigger than my husband's fir shed, and he was like, you've got to make that thing go away. So I let people come and dig parts of it up, and I just shared with everybody, and I had 3 families come and just dig, and I still have too many flowers in my yard. So, but I used to be able to get out and take a lot more care of my stuff than I can now with my body and my health. And I knew that I needed my roots to be aerated and turned and allowed to breathe. And the best way to do that was to say, hey, y'all I've got double bearded irises, I've got chocolate irises, I've got the maroon mini daylilies, I've got everything. I've got the red hot pokers. And, yeah, if you were closer, you could come get whatever you wanted. I actually think I might still have some hibiscus seeds. in a Ziploc bag somewhere. I gave Mom some, but not all of them. But it was just easier for me to let people come in and dig and aerate it for me, and everything bloomed a lot better this year. I've just got to kind of tidy it up over the next couple of years. So, but I was just a flower crazy person when we moved here 20 years ago, and I just went crazy. I had variegated zebra grass. I had oh gosh, I've got tortival hydrangeas. I just went crazy. I've got 5 gazillion roses Sharon. I've so many flowers, so many flowers. Well, if you make a trip down here, you can take you a whole bed full back of irises and daylilies, and because I'm trying to get as many of them up as possible. And I've still got some variegated zebra grass that needs to be taken out of some weird places too. Apparently a bird pooped it somewhere, volunteer. They need to be pulled up too. But I'm starting to thin back quite a bit for my husband's poor mowing ease, because he has to take on a lot more of the outside work since my body is crapping out. So I'm trying to help and give up as many of my flower beds as possible, which is sad. Oh, I've got apple mint and lemon balm. Well, I love apple mint and lemon balm. I have those everywhere because they keep bugs and stuff away, and you can eat them. I like anything you can eat. I didn't get to make my honeysuckle jam, my honeysuckle jelly, or my dandelion jelly this year. So, well, when you get time, I'm always here. You can meander down when you get a minute. I'm going to have a house full for Thanksgiving. They're coming, like everybody's coming in for a week. And we have a tiny house, so it's a good thing we all like each other. Because we have a tiny house. So it's a very good thing we all get along and like each other. My daughter's coming in. Her fiance is coming in from Georgia to trap and hunt. And, of course, my son and his wife are here, but they'll be in and out. And when we're all here for meals, Because there'll be 6 to 8, because they're like at least 6 of us, but then I normally have one or two of my bonus kids fall through. And so I never know. I never know who's going to show up, so I have an open door policy, because if they're in visiting for the holidays, 9 times out of 10 they will come through and see me. Yeah, air mattresses, and I have the big leather couches that everybody seems to like, and so that works really well. But yeah, we have a couple of air mattresses, and the really big couches, too big for our house, and then if need be, I know this sounds horrible, but if need be, the fur shed, you put a cot out there, and it's got a stove. It stays warmer than the house half the time. Sometimes I think David would prefer to be out there. I lose him on Saturday nights, and he's listening to Saturday Night Bluegrass out there in the fur shed working on something, and that's what he's doing. I'm like, where's my husband? He's in the fur shed listening to Bluegrass Saturday night on the local radio station, and he's working on something. And I'm like, oh, that's where he is. I've lost him. So, but I'm hoping that now, since I'm feeling better, I'm getting my craft room clean. I'm going to be showing you some of the stuff that's going on in the Etsy shop. I've got some of it in the house. David's bringing the rest in from the shed. I'm going to also be doing some little adorable, super quick Christmas crafts to show you all. Because I don't buy a lot of anything. I make most everything. That's just the way, I don't know, that's just where my family's always been. And we have a rule during Christmas: we don't buy presents. Everything has to be handmade. So if you give a gift, it has to be handmade, even if it's tiny. My daughter-in-law makes like lovely body butters and scrubs and stuff like that. So I always love, and candles. I love what I get from her. My son, you never know what my son's gonna make, because my son is like a redneck savant. I just never know what to expect from the boy. So we normally make stuff. David got out of it last year by picking a rock, a piece of sea glass, and having it made into a ring for me. I let him have that one because I really like the ring, and I'm sure y'all have seen me wear it. But normally we do everything homemade. Like last year, Lane made a wood round clock that says Hillbilly Furs for Dave. And then Lane made me a little, it looks like a birch, just a birch round, but it's got a little hinge top, and it's cleaned out. It's a little jewelry box, and it's one of my favorite things that Lane's ever made me. So we make everything. We try to see who can come up with what and make everything. So this year I'm going to be doing a lot of Mod Podge because everybody's having their first wedding anniversary, or Haley's just gotten engaged. So I'm going to be taking pictures that have been taken. I'm going to be making big prints, and I'm going to be Mod Podging them onto old barn lumber rustic signs and making like big wall hangings for their future homes, or for Lane and Kaylee's home now, but for Haley and Joe's home later when they get settled somewhere. So that's why I'm going to be doing a lot of that for Christmas. And the only thing I had to do, I had to buy David a boot dryer because his boot dryer died a slow and painful death. And when the man traps beaver, you need a boot dryer. So I had to buy him a boot dryer. But then I don't know exactly what I'm going to make him. I'm thinking about making him 2 signs to go above the bed that's got just a white background, and it's going to have a toboggan and a beard with red buffalo check like a logger. And it's going to say, I like his beard. And then on my side, it's going to say, I like her butt. And we're going to put it above the bed. Have y'all seen those? And I'm thinking about doing that to put above the bed. I have no shame. None at all. But I've been thinking about doing something like that because I'm wanting to redo. I'm going to have to buy some fabric and redo all my curtains in the black and white buffalo check. Because I've got green and white in my kitchen, and they're older than the hills, and I'm tired of them, but I'm just gonna hand do because I looked at pricing them and I'm like, I'm not paying that. I'll sit at the goddamn sewing machine. I'm gonna make my own curtains. So I'll take you through that process too. And I've got 2 or 3 quilts going too that yins can follow me on. But I'm probably just going to do the tops and then send them to the lady that will put the backing and batting together for me because I'm just lazy right now. And fine motor skills are not my thing right now. So yeah, I normally stay very busy, and this year has just been a crappy health year, but normally I stay pretty busy. And if you look down in my video feed, you'll see some of the other painted quilts that I've done for like music people that purchased LP was in Nashville, and her fan club wanted me to make her a quilt to go on her tour bus with her. So I painted her a quilt. That's down below. I painted a Freddie Mercury quilt that went to auction at the Queen Convention years ago, about 3 years ago. And all the proceeds went to St. Jude's. So I do random things. Right now I'm making JJ Lawhorn's little girl, Juniper, making her first full-size twin bed quilt. And it's made out of the blue thistle pattern because she's got beautiful strawberry blonde hair. And then I'm making Phoebe, Peter Freestone, I'm making him a king-size quilt bed for his bed. He's so tall, he's like 6'4", and so like I had to have him measure his bed, and because I wanted it to hang over the edge a good ways because he's so tall, and so I made him measure his bed. But I've got several things that are going on. If you look at that, these are all my quilts behind me. That's a beaver hide, but these are all my quilts behind me. I've got a my quilt rack holds mostly king quilts or multiple quilts, so it has to be by a 2x4 and then the big dowels because that's how big my quilts are. So as I get my craft room clean, then I can show you all that, and I can also show you my Queen collection. I've got a huge Queen memorabilia collection, ginormous, to the point of I've started giving stuff away to some of my bonus kids that love Queen because you can barely move in the room, and I need room. Yeah, Sharon quilts a lot too. Yeah, I don't like patterns like this sucker right here. No. My mama had to finish that. Hated every minute of that. But like scrap quilts that you don't have pattern, I will sit down and make a scrap quilt. If I don't know what it's going to look like, I love those. Or if I have an idea and I want to run with it, I don't mind to do the patterns. But if it's like 5,000 triangles, no. Ticks me off. So my mother sometimes has to come to my salvation and be like, okay, let me make this square so you can follow this one, because I hate patterns. Like, my brain does not, and my brain hates patterns. I can do like the abstract flower patterns, but these little geometric oh man. My mother did make my son a beautiful, beautiful double wedding ring quilt for his wedding. And it was gorgeous. And I will never make one of those because I know I don't have the patience to give a goose to do one of those. So I'm weird. I like to do stuff, but I'm more of like my mom calls me an artsy-fartsy freelance kind of. I have to sit down and see it has to tell me what it wants to become, and then I'll make it. And that's just how my brain works. And I normally have 5 or 6 things going. And oddly enough, the thing that I hang my earrings on is the vertebra of a cow that's got peacock feathers, and it's been painted gold, and it's got peacock feathers behind it in the little holes where the vertebra are. I hang my little dangled earrings. I'll show that to you one day. And my husband said, why do you want a cow vertebra? He's like, why do you? And I was like, you'll see. And I got it home and bleached it and made it, and he was like, oh, it makes sense now. And I was like, see? I do these things. But yeah, I do a lot of really weird things. So y'all will get probably sick of me through craft season. When it's cold here and I have to keep myself busy, the craft room is my favorite place to be because I cannot stand to be bored. And that's where I've been sick. Oh my God, I'm bored. And without my little cozy here, oh my God, I'm bored. So I'm hoping Saturday I get Causey back. Since this rain came through and it didn't really cause me anything other than just to feel a little icky, I hope I get Causey back. Oh, Yins will probably get sick of me. But the craft room is much better for filming. It's got a much better setup, and I can set my, I don't have my lights or anything set up right now, so it's much easier to film. And I've got a big attachment on the wall to where you can get a good view of something if I'm working on something. So, but yeah, I'll get it clean and I'll show you my Queen memorabilia stuff, and I'll show you where I was in a 6-page spread about Freddie Mercury that won awards in Puerto Rico. Yeah, and then at some point we're going to be getting a message from Peter Freestone. He called me and checked on me the other day after I got out of the hospital. He's such a sweetheart, and he said he was going to send a little video, just a little short video to everybody at the channel, so that y'all know I'm not lying to you, that I do know him. He is my friend and we do keep up with each other. So, well, I'll teach you some new weird shortcut crafts, cute little things that sell. I do a lot of wood burning. I'm fixing to do some wood burning of spoons. I'm going to sell some of those. I'm going to do wood burning tiny little wood round ornaments. I'm thinking of making a hanging lamp out of nothing but those tiny kiln dried wood rounds, and making that the frame, and like getting a lampshade, stripping it and making it the frame, and making a lumberjack hanging lamp, because I'm weird and that's where my brain goes. So we may end up making one of those together. It just depends on where my brain gets stuck when I feel better. So, and I told my husband, I said, I need a better glue gun. I've about killed my glue gun. I need a better glue gun. And he looks at me, he's like, I bought like 5 this year. And I'm like, it's like, I don't have good trigger discipline. That's what I told him. And I don't have good trigger discipline. Because I get impatient. I want the glue to come out now. So, but yeah, we'll do a lot of stuff. Some stuff I may take you down and show you into my mother's huge basement, which is nothing but a quilt shop. All she does is quilt. And I cannot wait to get the okay to drive again. I do not sit still well at all. Patience is... I don't have good patience. But just wanted to say howdy. Do a quick thing about the Dr. Phil. Make sure y'all know that what I found out about the Tennessee requirements for officers, so that rumor doesn't spread any farther. And then this chit chat for a minute, because I'm beginning to feel better. But tomorrow's going to be a big day. Tomorrow's part 2 of Dr. Phil, and I'm going to take notes. And by golly, as soon as Dr. Phil's over, I will be here. And by golly, we're going to be talking about that. Do I, Priscilla? We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. I'm going to take notes, and we're going to be talking about that, because I think there's going to be several things that I'm going to catch tomorrow that I'm going to be like, oh, we need to discuss that. Oh, we need to talk about that. I wish I felt better to do like an educational video, but I don't. But give me a few more days, and I'll get there. But I'm getting better. I'm feeling more like me. I'm getting frustrated because I'm having to sit still. And I'm doing small things to keep myself busy, but I'm overall improving. And the world is not going in circles anymore. Like, oh my God, that was so bad. I do not wish vertigo on anyone. I just want my dog back, and I want my house to be normal again. I hope it's better tomorrow. I have a feeling it's going to be. I have a feeling it's at least going to show us more things, more traits, personality traits, and behaviors that we need to talk about. So I'm going to be taking notes, and we are going to be talking about that crap tomorrow. Because that's what I wanted to see today, and I was like, I've already seen this. I was so upset. I was like, I've already seen this. I was mad because I wanted to see something else. I will tell you, if you're bored tonight, Netflix has a great show on called Love on the Spectrum, and it follows people that are on the spectrum trying to find love and dating, and it's one of the sweetest shows ever, and it kind of opens your mind up to how other people see the world. and experience the world, and it's a great way to look at people that are on the spectrum and help understand kind of how they digest the world around them so much different than we do. Thank you, Christina. I will continue to get better. Gypsy Girl, I love your name. You ever watch Gypsy XO? She does awesome cleaning videos. Tomorrow's going to be better. Tomorrow will be more about Dr. Phil, and I will have more in-depth stuff to talk about. This was just a chat catch-up. I'm feeling better, and I'm feeling good enough to be cantankerous. But now I'm fixing to eat my dinner and go to bed and see what in the crap Oscar is whining about. Because he's having a problem over. What are you having a problem about, Oscar? You want to say hi to everybody? Come here. Come here. Okay. Come here. Come here. Oh, my goodness. You're such a fat boy. Say hi to everybody. I'm the... Ooh, see, ugh. Oh, yeah. Give Mama a sugar. Say, I'm the smush face baby. I'm the 8-year-old baby that runs the house. Say, I have to stay with Mama. He's like furniture. He's not a problem. So even if I'm sick, he's here with me because... Oh, is that your disengaged yawn? I'm too good to be here. Really. So, well, me and Oscar, he's going to say go tinkle, tinkle, pot, pot. You need to go tinkle, tinkle, pot, pot. You do? Okay. He needs to go tinkle, tinkle, pot, pot. Then I'm going to make our dinner, and then I'm going to chill for the rest of the evening. And the rain has made me sleepy, so I'm probably going to crash early. Tomorrow's going to be a better day, and we're going to have big discussions tomorrow. So, I will see you then. Y'all be good to each other, be good to everybody else, and you know, if you have to be sassy, do it in a nice way. Hey, honey, you can rewatch it. I'll leave it up, and then when I do go back and start like deleting these, I'll go back, but you'll still have a few days to watch them. But I will get back into making more of my videos that stay, that are educational. So that's what as my health gets back, that's what I'm going toward. And my snarky, stupid, you know, I gotta be stupid every once in a while, so I get my stupid ones coming in too. Okay, Oscar's gotta pee. I gotta go. Love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow.